My name is Jaylani Hussein. I'm the Executive Director for the Council of American Islamic Relations CAIR, Minnesota, JAYLANIHUSSEIN. Today we're here at this press conference to make comments about the visit of Donald Trump, but really the conversation that this presidential candidate has had and the rhetoric that specifically targets the Muslim community, and here specifically in Minnesota, the Somali American community. So we condemn the language that Donald Trump has used to marginalize, to demonize, and to divide Americans against Americans and American communities. Today we stand here today to reaffirm that this important aspect of our community, which is American community. His comments, his rhetoric in this election has unleashed a segment of our population that rely on fear and divide and even get into acting against those minority communities, including the Muslim community. We understand that Donald Trump has among his staff and among his advisors known Islamophobes who have also articulated some of the messaging that we believe, including General Flynn, who has been quoted to say that Islam is cancer. And we believe that this type of association with individuals like that drive behind a lot of the rhetoric that Donald Trump has made against the Muslim community, specifically the Somali American community, and many of the other minority communities in the United States. All of this rhetoric is creating an unsafe environment for the Muslim community, for the Somali American community. And we have seen an increase and rise in Islamophobia, anti-Muslim efforts across the state of Minnesota here, but across the United States. Just in the past few weeks, a number of incidents have occurred across the United States where Muslim individuals have been killed as what appears to be hate crime. Here in Minnesota, just a few weeks ago, we have seen an incident involving 5 young Muslim men who were shot up by a man. We believe that incident is a hate crime. While we don't know exactly the full motives, we believe this is part of the climate that is being created by the rhetoric that Donald Trump and his campaign has created to a certain extent. The Somali American community is an American community. It is part of the growing immigrant community here in the United States. They're a proud community. They are your teachers, your police officers, TSA officials. They are your business owners, small business owners. They are your average Americans in this community. They are today your even Olympians, as Hassan Mead, who is a member of this community, is representing the United States in the Olympics as we speak today. Somali Americans are reviving small towns across the state of Minnesota, in Maine and many parts of the United States. And they are even reviving forgotten neighborhoods in urban areas, including here in Minneapolis, reviving with their effort to make America better. And therefore, the rhetoric that Donald Trump has spewed specifically against the Somali American community really is a continuation of the anti-Muslim, anti-immigrant rhetoric. And this rhetoric definitely is falling to many of our young people who today have a bright future in becoming part of this country, and specifically also being civically engaged, as we have today not only a city council member in the city of Minneapolis, but we also have possibly the first female state elective representative in Ilhan Omar. This divisive rhetoric must come to an end. We have been alerted that Donald Trump has made an ambiguous apology, and we are asking for clarification to know that those individuals that he continues to divide, hurt, and incite those individuals who even want to act against Muslims. This past week, or a week ago, the Somali Museum, which is one of the most important architectural or important cultural entity in our state here, was sent, a Trump supporter left them a very hateful message, and in that message, the Trump supporter said that that after Donald Trump becomes the president, that he will that the Somali Museum and all of the Somalis should prepare and pack and go home, because Donald Trump will force all Somali Americans out. This is the type of rhetoric coming from the campaign that incites individuals in our community to think like that, not only just to think about it, but then to make the action to call the Somali Museum and to say that because Donald Trump will become a president, you will no longer exist in our society. This rhetoric is dangerous, and we ask for clarification today as Donald Trump makes a visit to the state of Minnesota. And today we also ask other GOP leaders in our state to stand with the minority community, to stand with the Somali American community, and to stand with other immigrant communities that have come under attack from this rhetoric from the campaign that Donald Trump has done. If the apology that Donald Trump has issued is honest, then we need that apology to be toward those who have been affected by the rhetoric that came from this campaign. With that, I'll end my part of the statement.
Jelani, can you talk about the impact of the after Ilhan Omar was she gets this endorsement, and then maybe a week later there's this news that comes out about questioning her marriage. What impact does that have on the community, and do you think that has something to do with this Trump atmosphere?
Well, I think we have to recognize that now the anti-Muslim organizing is at a high gear. There are many organizations, many people who are interested in the affairs of Muslims. And Ilhan is going to be someone who will come under tremendous scrutiny because of the fact that she's Muslim. It was reported recently that the two Muslim politicians, at least the most prominent two Muslim politicians, Abdi Warsame, who's a city council member for the city of Minneapolis, and our Congressman Keith Ellison, have been getting a number of hate calls and mails in the past few months, and perhaps in the last few years as well, and that has spiked. So as someone who's a public figure, she will come to tremendous scrutiny, and that scrutiny will be added specifically coming from these groups that are organizing against Muslims, sometimes in the shadows, sometimes in the front.
What has CAIR had to say about this notion out there that Muslim people in America are somehow expected to police terrorists and expected to rein in terrorism as if you're somehow in control?
Well, first of all, I think the Muslim community, when we talk about especially terrorism today, and especially terrorist organizations, the number one majority of 99% of the victims of terrorism in the world today are Muslim. So Muslims are more invested than any other community to fight back against terrorism. And so therefore, there is an effort in our community to be extra vigilant. But yet, we are not police. We are a community, and we work with law enforcement just like any other community. But this again feeds back to this narrative that even Yusuf was talking about, that we believe that just because you're a Muslim, just because you're wearing a hijab, just because you identify yourself Muslim, you're immediately a threat. And if you ask any Muslim today who is experiencing or traveling at the airport, both the Muslim feels a sense of anxiety level going up because they're going through this airport, but also those around them, when they identify this person to be a Muslim, there's a sense of anxiety as well by those people. And that is being fueled and being regenerated not only by law enforcement, but also programs like the current violent extremism program in Minnesota that looks at violent extremism across the United States, but only speaks to one community. And that reaffirms this idea, this notion, this fear that Muslims are somehow a threat to the society. And that's contrary. Muslims are in law enforcement, they serve the United States military, and they are community members. And to speak to that also, there are many people in our community who actually bring up when there are concerns to the law enforcement, and we do that continuously. There's a number of efforts, even here in the Twin Cities, where that partnership has helped police apprehend